So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today I want to talk a little bit about Archons, more specifically on how to efficiently do damage to them. Because I still see some people struggle during the Archon fights, and I've even had some comments and even messages asking me if I could do a video like this, so here we go. So first of all, I don't think it's that big of a surprise that a lot of people still struggle with Archons, because they are very special. Unlike most other enemies, they have multiple ways of mitigating damage. They are high level with a lot of health, high alloy armor, they are status resistant, immune to most Warframe abilities, and they have damage attenuation, so they cover basically everything. It's really not too bad though, as long as you know two things. Number one, their armor is unstrippable, so no matter what you do, you're gonna be fighting alloy armor, so you want to mod your weapons for radiation and cold, which is what alloy armor is weak to. And number two, their damage attenuation, which is effectively just a mechanic that reduces the damage of high damage weapons, right? So sniper rifles, shotguns, that kind of stuff, is actually bypassed by a few things. Most notably, the utterly broken evolution on Incarnon weapons that gives you a 50% chance to do 2000% extra damage on a non-critical hit. This is why Incarnon weapons in general tend to perform the best against Archons, because you get to bypass one of their biggest damage reductions, and you're doing it with weapons that are very strong. Now that of course doesn't mean that you can only use Incarnon weapons, but they generally tend to perform the best, and they are the weapons that I would recommend if you're just getting into Archon hunts and you just want to do decent damage. Now the order in which I would rank them after just, doing a bunch of Archon hunts with them and testing them out would be Latum at number 3 in Incarnon mode. This one seems to be the worst of the three. Then at number 2 we have the Fenmore in Incarnon mode as well. This one definitely performs better than the Latum, but it is not quite as good as the standard shotgun mode on the Felarchs. This one seems to rip through Archons the fastest. Now bear in mind that what you're seeing is sort of like the worst case scenario, because I deliberately wanted to do this on my melee focused Inaro, so there are no outside buffs helping me out here, it's just the weapons. But you can easily get a lot more damage if you just toss in something like Zata's Whisper into the mix for a bunch of extra void damage. On top of that, Zata's Whisper is also subsumable, so you can use it on any frame you want. Now just in case you don't want to run Zaku, or you don't want to farm 2 Zakus and then feed one of them to the Helminth to use Zata's Whisper somewhere else, you can substituted with Smite, specifically with the Smite Infusion augment, which allows you to infuse your weapons with a bunch of radiation damage. This works pretty well too, it's subsumable so you can use it on any frame, and the Archons use alloy armor which is weak to radiation. Or you can use one of the standard buffs, Roar, Eclipse, that kind of stuff. Now as far as the builds for the Incarnon weapons go, they are extremely straightforward. It's big damage, you ram in as much radiation and cold as possible and you're done. Crit is detrimental to the Incarnon evolution, and status doesn't matter because the Archons are status resistant. I do tend to go with at least a little bit of fire rate on the Fenmore though, so I will usually put on Speed Trigger just for fun. Now, just in case you don't have or don't want to use any of the Incarnon weapons, there is another weapon that works really well against the Archons, and that is the Kuva Hack, and it's specifically the Kuva variant of the hack, as the standard or even the Vacor hack won't do. This is because the Kuva Hack has a special mechanic where if you press the secondary fire button, you fire out all your barrels at once. This can do a ridiculous amount of damage, even to an Archon, especially if you get some outside damage buffs like Smite Infusion, Zata's Whisper, Roar, Eclipse, that kind of stuff. If you get enough buffs, you can, with a bit of luck of course, actually one-shot the Archon, instantly sending you into the next phase. It's not the easiest thing to do though, you need like a proper big boy build and a bunch of buffs and a little bit of luck, but it is doable. But even if you don't want to faff around with it too much and you just want a solid weapon for the Archon hunt, the Kuva Hack is definitely good. Just once again, load it for maximum radiation and cold, though this time around you want to run crit as well. Now I'm not saying that you can't use other weapons for the Archon fights, because of course you can. Hell, I've done it with either Corinth Prime, I've tried some arc guns and even the Synapse just to see if I could do it, and it was fine. It was just not quite as smooth as it would be with one of the weapons that I mentioned in this video. But anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to say, so I thank you very much for watching as always guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.